Trudeau has come out and said he's furious with 4,800 people being laid off of Bell Media. He says it's a garbage decision. He got on his drama teacher voice, really got pumped up, let the people know he's in it to fight for them. And he's annoyed by this decision and that Bell has done this. And it seems to me that Trudeau is unaware that we are in a recession and jobs are going to be lost. But in his world, that doesn't happen. So he's complaining about it. You have some direct intel of things that are happening a little bit, at least from a couple different perspectives, people on the ground. Reg, what's happened from your perspective, big dog?
So a friend of mine is a former Bell employee, worked on the ground with the media. And he said to me, he's like, this is something that I saw was coming. The writing was on the wall. We realized that legacy media is just not doing as well as independents, that people who are making content on TikTok, they are the ones that are actually getting all the attention right now because people have lost faith in the legacy media outlets. And so it's a business that is not doing well. And he said that I understand that Bell Media is a for-profit company. So they're going to do whatever they're going to do to continue to be profitable. So he was like, I don't actually see this as something that was unheard of or unforeseen. He's like, this is definitely something that I saw coming. It sucks because I just lost my job and now I'm going to have to figure out something else. But it was very reasonable. It was like, you know what? They're a for-profit company. He's like, had I been working for CBC and they're a publicly funded company and I was one of those employees that lost my job, he's like, I would have been livid. The thing that he brought, though, that I thought was the most interesting was that he was saying that he's finding that media nowadays is just a copy paste of each other and that they're not interested in telling stories. They're not interested in doing journalism, that it's just get whatever you can possibly get out there as fast as humanly possible so that you look like you're first in the comment section, so to speak. And it doesn't matter if it's validated. It doesn't matter if it actually takes an in-depth look at things. It's just get it out there as fast as possible. And he said, and everybody's doing it in the media these days. And so when I said about how it's a travesty to lose W5, he's like, yeah, he said, but W5 was going the way of the dodo bird anyway, because nobody wanted to fund that investigative journalism because they're just looking for whatever is quick and fast and able to make views, which makes money.
Yeah.
So
Vice faced something very similar as well. Back in the day, that was how Vice was founded. They were founded on the premise of hard investigative journalism on the ground, getting into the mix, going to these foreign countries, seeing what's going on. And then they went heavy identity politics, and that was what was getting the clicks. Throw all the buzzwords into one big headline, boom, you get views. And that's the problem with the attention economy in general. And that's kind of I liked kind of how he put that, where it's become whoever gets to it first kind of situation. And I'm sensing that even as our show, as we are now considered, I guess, the independents, and we're getting the attention at this point, which we appreciate. We love to see it. We love you guys. I see you. Yeah, baby, getting kisses to everybody out here, baby.
Gross.
It is the week of love, baby. It's the Valentine's Day. What are we talking about? Anyways, I'm seeing that a lot in just kind of like that. I'm seeing both left and right, but we're obviously in the kind of more conservative right-wing circles now, at least in terms of people who are going to talk to us. And I'm seeing all these people doing these different shows. And everyone's covering the same story just from their viewpoint, and it's annoying. I get personally annoyed by it too. We got, admittedly, you're going to hate me for this, Reg, but we got caught up in it last week.
Yep.
We weren't sticking to our identity last week. We got caught up in what's happening now, what's crazy things to talk about, and it really wasn't us. It wasn't our identity, and I felt it at the end of that episode. So much so, believe it or not, we trimmed 13 minutes of that show. So people were like, yeah, there's a segment that kind of ran a little long. And I was like, it was longer. It was longer. It wasn't who we are. And that's kind of why I appreciate that comment about the Bell Media stuff, because I don't want to be that. I obviously want to cover stories that are really important, that are interesting, that are important to people, but I want to cover it with our viewpoint. I want to cover it from our perspective, our lightness to the topic and be able to tell a story at the same time.
Yeah, and I think that like the value that we bring, if I can toot our own horn here, is that we are connected to so many people to be able to actually share stories of people who may not be able to share that publicly. We can give them anonymity and actually have their voice heard, because if you listen to the narrative right now, it's that all the Bell Media employees are PO'd, they are all in shock and they can't believe this happened. It's like, no, that's actually not the experience. And so that's kind of what I think like we bring as a value, is just being able to give anonymity to people who really want to have their side of the story told in a different way and in a way that really reflects the truthful and full story.
Absolutely. So. And for this one, that's why it gets interesting, right? Because there's a lot of finger pointing happening. Mm-hmm. Trudeau's like, Bell, morons, this can't look bad on me. I gave you money. Why are people getting laid off? Oh, sorry, money doesn't solve. I mean, throwing money at things doesn't solve all issues.
Just us Sears.
Yeah. And then Poilievre got grilled too today as well about the Conservatives giving, or at least greenlighting, $120 million to mainstream media. And he was asked that question by the Canadian press, and Poilievre wouldn't answer the question, even though we found stories where them and the NDP signed this amendment that would have given $120 million to mainstream media. And he was asked, why did you do that? Is that what the Conservatives believe in? And Poilievre wouldn't give a direct answer on it. And then took the angle of like, well, you're the Canadian press, you're a mouthpiece of Justin Trudeau, which not wrong, but didn't answer the question. And that's what we ended up doing our own digging before the show. We're like, what is this all about? Like, what did they actually greenlight? What's happening? What happened with this bill? It was around the Online Streaming Act. So we know that there's kind of some messiness happening around it, but we couldn't really get to the bottom of it. It seemed there's a lot of lack of transparency around this one.
Yeah. And what was also interesting too is that there was no right-wing media coverage of that at all.
Yeah.
And I said to Josh, I was like, you know what? I've been following the National Post a lot. I gave them a shout out in the last episode that they're the media outlet that I frequent the most, and couldn't find anything by them. The only thing we could find was on CTV and CBC for articles on this.
All parroting Canadian press story.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And so what's frustrating is that when you originally watch the video of Poilievre, you're like, oh, look at him dunking on that stupid liberal reporter. Like, and then I was looking at it and I was like, no, actually, she's right. He's not answering the question. One, she was heckling the crap out of him. And so I said, why would you ask him it in that way? So first she's like, why did the Conservatives give $100 million to legacy media if you don't believe in media, blah, blah. And she just like comes out with the attack first. It's like, okay, obviously he's not going to respond to that. The way you phrase that is say, why did you and the NDP sign an amendment that gave money to legacy media? And you make it very clear, because then he can't get away from that. Mm-hmm. You have to call out the actual action. You can't just say you gave money to the legacy media, because he was like, I didn't give any money away. What money did you give away? What money? Who said that? And like, that's how he answers reporters, which I find interesting in some cases, but in this one it was annoying, because then he just went right back to the talking points. And so I was disappointed in you, PP. So
yeah, I think there was disappointment on both sides, right? Where I put a lot more of it on the reporter, where you could have actually done your job. You could, be one of these people that isn't going to be one of these 4,800 people laid off, and actually do some journalism and ask in a calm, succinct manner, direct to the point, why did you vote on this?
Yeah.
Instead of making it an issue, or making it an emotional issue and going after him and heckling him, not really letting him answer the question. And then it became about the emotion versus the actual issue. And then he was able to just dismiss you instead of answering the question.
Exactly.
So it was an interesting situation.
Yeah. It was a lack of professionalism on her part. And because we all know politicians, they're gonna get away with whatever they can get away with. Mm-hmm. And it is supposed to be the role of journalists to hold them accountable. And that journalist didn't. They let their emotions, like you said, run the best of him. And he won that round. So Sorry.
And this is why people are losing jobs. The economy's doing terrible. And then as well, if you're not providing a service that people are interested in, well, you're gonna lose your job. And that's where the problem is lying. And I'm looking forward to seeing more independent journalists come out of the woodwork here and really do some serious work, which I'd be excited to. I would love, if any of those types of journalists are listening to the show, love to get into contact and chat, because I think it's important to start highlighting these people and getting them into the mix here and getting some real answers.